Hi folks, I wanted to share details about my latest project, which is trying to create a bee condo out of spare wood in my garage. So this was basically pieced together from just a bunch of scrap pieces of wood from various projects, and I just tight bonded it together and started drilling holes in it to set things up for a bee farm. So I'll break here quickly just to provide a little more background on bee farms and native bees in general. During the virtual 2020 New York Maker Faire, I learned about creating habitat for bees in your backyard from reused materials. That introduction is what led me to discover orchard mason bees, a native species in North America. I've seen these guys flying around my backyard and confuse them for large flies, but they are in fact bees and important pollinators where I live here in the desert. What's interesting about these natives is that each one can do the job of 78 honeybees, such that it takes only 7 mason bees to pollinate a fruit tree, a job that would usually require 545 honeybees. It can do this because its body is fuzzier than that of a honeybee and can thus collect and transfer pollen much more efficiently than honeybees can. In addition, mason bees are considered solitary in that they don't rely on hives or a queen for reproducing. They instead produce male and female offspring which mate and then take advantage of old beetle tunnels for laying their young. Finally, I've discovered that these bees are very gentle, so they're a perfect addition to a wildlife-friendly backyard that also hosts kids and concerned moms. With all the news about bee colony collapse in the honeybee populations, I decided to consider making a little habitat in my backyard for these guys to feed and breed. So I started turning what was formerly a vegetable garden into something new that might do a better job for planting flowering natives for hosting pollinators. This seems like a lot of work for a few bees, but imagine if each mason bee that I support in my backyard could potentially do the work of 78 honeybees. That's some good karma from a couple weekend investments in time. In addition, this project would help me convert a water-heavy part of my yard with desert-adapted plants that are low on water use. With respect to the building of the bee condo, you can help avoid diseases carrying over from one generation to the next by using paper or cardboard straws to line the holes, which can be replaced each season. From the various sources noted in the description of this video, I've learned that you'll want straws that are 5/16 of an inch or about 8 millimeters in diameter by a minimum 6 inches in length. These dimensions will encourage a good diversity of male versus female bees emerging from your condo. Also, make sure that the straws you purchase are made of biodegradable cardboard rather than plastic, since plastic doesn't breathe as well and can promote the growth of molds and fungus, which isn't good for developing bees. You can find straws designed specifically for mason bees, but these can be rather expensive. For a cheaper alternative, I've found these common straws, which have the desired diameter, coming in at 8 millimeters on the outside. Of course, you'll need to drill holes in your blocks of wood to host these straws. With some experimentation, I found a good bit diameter that works with these straws, and I'll put a link to where you can purchase these straws online, but I got like 500 straws, so this should last me a few years for $9. These are actually 8 millimeters outer diameter, so I've lost about 10% on the inner diameter. We'll give them a shot, see if they work. Bottom line is that you want to drill holes in your spare wood that go down about 6 inches, and then you can put these straws in, and then you can either harvest the mason bees or let them do their thing on their own at the end of the year, but you want to make sure that you replace these straws once a year so that you don't propagate mites that can damage a bee population. Second thing is you're going to want a properly sized bit to drill these holes. So I've got this bit right here, which is 21/64. Create a nice semi-tight fit. You want them to be 6 inches deep because from what I've learned about mason bees, they will lay females in the deeper part of the tunnel and males in the shallower part of the tunnel that you put out there. And if you don't make the tunnels deep enough, they'll just lay a bunch of males, and males aren't as good for pollinating. So something to keep in mind. Anyway, one more thing I wanted to demonstrate is how to use the bit. So this was kind of trial and error for me. I've never used a bit that's quite this long. So I'll demo the best way to do it with my cordless drill. And I should mention, I've got a 14 volt, well, this one's an 18 volt. I've got both a 14 volt and an 18 volt drill, cordless, and they both work. The 18 volt works a little bit better, not much. I wish I had a power drill off an extension cord, because it's not very much fun when the battery dies and you have to wait a few hours for the battery to recharge so you can continue your work. But in any event, it does work. I marked one of these straws. I put a little mark on it to show where 6 inches is, so that I could kind of get a feel for how deep to drive this drill bit. And after doing this a few times, you kind of get an idea. But you want the hole to be at least 6 inches. So that's 6 inches on the straw. And I've never used a drill bit this long before. So what I've learned is you don't want to try to drill the hole all at once. You want to do it in small measured steps, kind of work it in and out. So I pull it out a little bit, push it back in. Just do this a few times. And there you have it. You've got a nice deep hole for your mason bees. And let's see if I've got it right with my straw, if I drilled it deep enough. But that's a little bit more than 6 inches, so that'll work. These are just spare pieces of wood that were left over from other projects, and now I can turn them into something useful instead of just turning them into firewood.